Hello, everyone. We're going to give our folks some time to get in and get settled, and then we'll get started with today's tech showcase. All right, in the interest of time, let's go ahead and kick this amazing opportunity off. My name is Courtney Johnson Benson. I'm currently serving as your OACAC president, and thank you so much for taking the time to attend today's session. The last session actually within our tech showcase that kicked off right after annual conference. Make sure that if you have not renewed your membership that you do so, and look for notifications about opportunities to participate in articulation powered by StriveScan this fall. So I'd like to introduce Zach George and Jen Payton. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Courtney. And thank you all for spending some time this morning or this afternoon, wherever you happen to be, to learn a little bit more about StriveScan for Visits. My name is Zach George. I'm the Senior Director of College and Fair Relations. I've been with StriveScan about 3.5 years, but I was a college rep for 10 years prior to that. I worked most recently at DePauw University in Greencastle, Indiana, and I also worked at DePaul University, Lake Forest College, and Knox College, all on the college side of things. I'm joined today by my colleague, Jen. Jen, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Jen Payton. I'm the Director of College and Fair Relations at StriveScan. Been here about 2 years. And like Zach, my previous experience also is in college admissions, where I was at Arizona State University many years, managing college fair planning and our national recruitment team.
We bring up the fact that we have admissions experience because we come to this conversation with that specific lens. Obviously, we have talked about college fairs and virtual college fairs. Today's conversation is a little bit more specific to high school visits. Jen and I and our entire team have been in the weeds. We've done these high school visits throughout our territories. So we know what those conversations look like. We know how much time you have between bells for those high school visits. So we're very cognizant of some of the nuanced challenges of going into a high school. So that's where we come in with StriveScan for Visits. This is our agenda for today. I'm going to very briefly go over some StriveScan background. If you don't know who we are yet, we will teach you. I'll go and I'll hand it over to Jen, who's going to show you how StriveScan for Visits works from the app side of things. We'll talk a little bit more about how to register students at a high school visit, what that follow-up for students looks like, some of the materials that you can utilize in your visits, and then we'll talk finally through pricing and any questions that you have. As with all webinars, the Q&A is active, so feel free to type your questions in that you may have, and you will also get a copy of all of these slides afterwards. You can bring them up to your directors or deans and show them what you've learned about StriveScan for high school visits. So a little bit of background for StriveScan for those of you unfamiliar. We've been doing the OACAC Virtual College Exploration Program, and we've done the 6x6 fairs. But before that, we were active with in-person college fairs worldwide. We had been used for the past 5 years or so for in-person college fairs prior to the pandemic. We had also just the year before the pandemic, 2019, rolled out high school visits utilizing the StriveScan app, which we're going to teach you all about today. But that is another function of StriveScan that you may not have been familiar with just because your familiarity might have started with StriveScan with the virtual college fairs. And that's totally okay. We're excited to be partnering with OACAC to do a rural 6x6 virtual college fair this fall, to do a general 6x6 college fair, and also to partner with the articulation to do a counselor 6x6 college fair too. So our experience now lives in the in-person and in the virtual space with all of these different partner associations that we work with, including OACAC as well. All in all, we've had about 2,000 institutions scanning and utilizing StriveScan, and that is a worldwide number as well. So institutions have trusted StriveScan, not just for those college fairs, but for those high school visits as well. One note on data security and privacy, just to be aware of, with all things StriveScan, this is consistent. A student's information, their data, and their profile are only shared with their consent. Students' data is not sold or shared to any other third parties. That means a student And a college's relationship must happen at a scan at an in-person college fair, or at a high school visit, or a registration for your 6x6 grouping at a virtual fair. So we do take student privacy very seriously in regards to that. We are also FERPA and GDPR compliant in all of the things that we do, and we maintain that and a lot of trainings with our team to make sure we're up to date on student privacy concerns. So our team got together in 2019, and we met with many different college reps, and a lot of what they said is, this is great to use StriveScan at college fairs, but it doesn't eliminate all the cards, because we can scan at college fairs, but then we still have all of our inquiry cards at our high school visits that we still need to manually enter and take care of. So we did some focus groups, and we learned some of those pain points, and we decided to come up with a way to incorporate student scanning into high school visits as easy as possible. Still using the exact same app, still using the exact same student inquiry form, which we'll show you as well, but really just trying to eliminate those inquiry cards. When I was a regional rep, I had to enter those cards myself. So it was great to be at a StriveScan fair and export that data via the CSV, but I still would have to sit at a coffee shop and try to decipher the student's name and email address that they wrote on the card at my high school visit. So our biggest goal in creating StriveScan for visits was to eliminate those inquiry cards. We want also post-pandemic, we want to take out those contact points. We want to take out the need for shared pens and cards and all of these other things in that small environment, and make it a very seamless, no-touch interaction. So StriveScan for visits can certainly accomplish that as well. As I mentioned, when I was entering high school visit cards, I'd have to decipher, is it an R or an L? You can't really tell. So data accuracy sometimes wasn't the most consistent with students filling out cards. So when a student types their information in, it's a lot easier and more efficient. One of our goals in this creation of StriveScan for visits was also to help institutions save money. Printing those inquiry cards, perhaps mailing them back to campus to get them entered, having your hourly staff or student workers spend time entering that data, that's time that could be better spent, and money that could be better spent as well. So saving money, increasing efficiency. We also are aware that a student may visit at a high school, and then it may be a few days or weeks that they get their first follow-up from your institution, because it's a busy travel season. So one of the perks of what we're about to show you is some automatic follow-up that happens for students 24 hours after a high school visit scan. And with everything StriveScan, we wanted to be environmentally friendly, save paper, save trees, and reduce the thousands of paper inquiry cards that are swirling around, not just in high school visits, but probably at the bottom of your travel bag as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Jen, who's going to give a little bit of insight on how it works specifically within the StriveScan app.
All righty, thank you so much, Zach. So if you have already downloaded the StriveScan app before and are familiar with it, this is probably the homepage that you're familiar with. All of the fairs that use StriveScan are listed here. But if you sign up to become a part of the StriveScan for high school visits, you will see this visits tab in the middle. And so all you will need to do is switch over to the visits tab, and you'll be able to create your high school visit in the matter of clicks. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. All you'll do is you will click on this blue plus icon here, and then you will be taken to this page where we'll just need a few items. First thing will be visit name or location. Date and time is automatically set. And then you are also able to add your CRM's internal event ID, or like Slate's GUID, to be able to match up the scans at this particular visit, to be able to import into your CRM based on that specific name or high school visit. But the important item here to show is that this can be done on the fly or in advance. So I would say most of our current visit partners operated in that I'm going to create my visit as I'm walking into the school. And so how that works is when you click that blue plus icon, you will be able to use your phone's location to be able to populate the nearby high schools. Or again, if you're walking into a specific high school, it's automatically going to be the first one for you to click on. We know that if you are creating visits in advance, there's tons of Lincoln Park high schools probably across the nation. And so this feature definitely helps you create those visits on the fly very quickly, whether you're visiting one high school day or 5 visits in a day. You'll be able to do it very quickly. Once you click on that location's name, you'll be able to determine if you want to have a automatic follow-up email to go to the students, like Zach just mentioned, and we'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And then all you'll do is tap create visit, and you are set to start scanning at that high school visit. And Zach's going to go into more detail on what that looks like as far as getting students registered at the beginning of the visit. Once you click that blue camera icon, you'll hover over the student's barcode, just like you would at any of the in-person fairs. And then that student's full profile will populate on your phone. So here you'll be able to see students' first and last name, obviously the school that they're at, and then their information that they entered with, GPA, academic interests, what grade they are, etc. From there, depending on the size of your visit, of course, you'll be able to take notes on any specific student or your conversation with that student. So, Dustin was super interested in journalism, is president of the AV club. I want to make sure that I notate that on his specific record. I can also indicate that I want to follow up with this student and check that, so that that is all included in my export, so that I can do more meaningful follow-up after the fact. You can also rate the student's interest. So we all know, we've been there before. We might encounter students who we feel are at my visit because they wanted to get out of class. And so you can notate that here. Or, a student knew so much about my school, has extreme high interest. I want to make sure that I'm rating them high. And so that way I can differentiate between all of the students that I met at a particular visit. Depending on the type of visit that you're at too, whether it be a small visit or maybe you're at a school where the entire junior and senior class is in the auditorium waiting for you. We have different scan modes that you'll find useful depending on that setting. So let me go over the scan modes in just a moment here. So first scan mode is standard. This is where you're going to see the entire profile of that student. Quick mode will provide the student's first and last name. Both standard and quick, those options allow you to take those notes on those students. Turbo mode is where you can just scan students one after the other. So that again is that big setting. You're just needing to scan students one after the other. You're not necessarily taking notes on the students or addressing them by their first name. Quick and turbo mode does not require any sort of internet as well. So you'll be able to, if you're in a classroom where there's no cell service, the active scanning doesn't actually need any The active scanning actually doesn't require any internet if you are in quick and turbo mode. So let me show you what that looks like in a different way as well. So standard mode, you see full profile there. Quick mode, you see the first and last name, but you're able to take notes. And then that turbo mode is when you're scanning students one after the other. Again, quick and turbo mode doesn't require any internet connection to actually scan. We have a fourth feature as well that is very useful, and it's called our self-scan mode, so selfie mode, if you will. So if you, again, are in that setting, in a large setting, or even in a small setting, and you just want to prop up your phone so that students will be able to just scan as they walk on by, as they walk into the classroom, without you having to actually go around the room to do so, you can set this up. And so just think of it like as when you're paying for Starbucks, I'm using your Starbucks app, or when you're showing your boarding pass to the TSA gate agent, this operates in the same fashion. So after your visit, you are able to view all of the students that you scanned with at that visit, but you're also able to take overall notes about the high school visit itself. So whether it was a fantastic visit, I actually got to meet with the head counselor, we had a great conversation, etc. Or maybe it wasn't the best visit. There's not a ton of students, not a ton of interest. I didn't get to meet with the counselors again, just so that you can look back at all of your visits that you did and remember what happened at said visit. And then at the end of the visit, all you will need to do is click Export Student List, and you will be emailed immediately all of the students that you scanned with, as well as that visit note that you took regarding that particular visit. So this is instant. Again, nothing, no delay on this. So this is a great opportunity to import all of the student scans into your CRM. Which brings me to a new feature that we have and that we're really excited to feature is we will be able to have you set up an automatic export. So you actually wouldn't even need to click export student list at every single visit if this was something that your team were to set up. And so this automatic export is done through secure file transfer protocol known as SFTP. And again, if this isn't super familiar to you, I'm sure this is something that your CRM folks will immensely appreciate. And so how this works is that on every night, all of the scans that happened that day from in-person fairs, from virtual fairs, and from your high school visits will be automatically imported into your CRM. And so this is something that we are launching in September. And we will also be hosting a more in-depth training on how this is set up on the back end to ensure this is working properly for your institution. Should you sign up for visits, we'll notify you on when that training will be. So I'm going to pass it over to Zach now. We talked about how the app itself works, but what does it actually look like as you enter the high school visit, getting students registered for you to scan? So I'll pass it over to Zach now.
Great, thanks, Jen. We're super excited about the SFTP data exports that are happening both for our in-person and our virtual fairs. We know that's going to be really useful for you so that you don't even need to pass along those CSV files. They can get automatically imported into your CRMs moving forward. So as Jen showed you a little bit about the app and how the app works and how to set up those high school visits, I want to dig into how do you get those kids a barcode? This is the age-old question, not just for visits, but also for college fairs as well. You want to use this service as long as kids have barcodes. It's really easy to get kids barcodes, especially at the start of your high school visit. What many of our partners did if they had a dry erase board was simply write strivevisit.com on the dry erase board. And that's where you're going to direct your students at the top of your high school visit. Everyone get out your phones or hop on your Chromebook and visit strivevisit.com. It's going to be really fast and easy, and it's going to take the students less than 2 minutes to sign up. This form, this Strive Visit form, is going to be the exact same form as a college fair. So the students are answering just those basic demographic questions: their name, their email, their mobile phone number. Whether or not they want to get text messages from colleges is a checkbox. Their birth date, their address, and we use Google Maps to help autocomplete the rest of their address. Their school that they attend, again, we use their location to help determine what high school they are probably at and attending. Their grade in school, freshman, sophomore, or junior, senior, and then that also helps autocomplete their college start semester. So if they select that they're a senior, it autocompletes the college start semester as fall 2022. That's all of the required fields, but the students can also put in some optional information as well. Optional fields are their GPA, their test scores, their majors and minors, their race, and their ethnicity. Once the student clicks sign up, they get their barcode delivered in 4 ways. This is the exact same as in-person college fairs. So if you're doing in-person college fairs, just be aware that it works the exact same way. The next screen that students see is a confirmation screen, and it has their barcode. We also email a student their barcode, and we text a student their barcode. For college fairs, and maybe if they're pre-registering in advance for a high school visit, they have the ability to also add that barcode to their Apple Wallet so that it may show up for the fair. And if a student pre-registers for your high school visit, it's rare, but it happens. If they pre-register for your high school visit, they can receive some reminder emails as well. The Strive Scan barcodes are universal barcodes. What that means is once a student has registered once, that barcode can be used at any Strive Scan fair. That barcode can be used at another college's high school visit, and at any point that Strive Scan is being incorporated. So students have the ability at any time to edit their information. They can edit their majors, their GPA, all of that can be edited, but they can also utilize that barcode in the entire ecosystem of Strive Scan in-person scanning. So again, we're reminding you that the Q&A is open. If you have questions about getting students registered, feel free to toss them into the Q&A there. But I'm actually going to move on to the student follow-up. So you, at the beginning of your high school visit, you work to get students registered. You can scan those barcodes at the very end of your high school visit, and then you can proceed to your next high school visit and do the exact same thing. Students, 24 hours after the high school visit, do receive one email that says, thanks for visiting with our institution. Here's our institution's information, and here's who you met with. So we know that it's going to take some time maybe for them to be a part of your normal flow. But in this instance here, the student does receive at least a touch point from the institution if you'd like. You can turn off this automatic email if you'd like when you set up your high school visit, but it is a nice touch point so the student knows their contact person, maybe they lost that business card from yesterday's high school visit, so they'll be able to reach back out directly to that individual college representative. We do provide you and your team some materials to prepare for using StriveScan for visits. One of the things that we provide are some quarter sheets that you can print up instead of just using the dry erase board to write Strive Visit. You can print up some of these smaller pieces and have a bunch in your bag and utilize them, maybe pass them around the high school visit if there's a lot of students there. We also have a URL, strivevisit.com/slide. If you are doing a high school visit and you have a computer access as well, you can pull up that, and it has information about how to get a barcode. Some of our partners even laminated some of these documents here and would just simply circulate them around the high school visit before they present. Some logistics to be aware of as they relate to StriveScan for high school visits. Students do need a tiny bit of internet to register, either some cellular data or Wi-Fi in their phone or their Chromebook or their iPad. So that is a logistic to be aware of in any instance, an in-person college fair or a high school visit. You can distribute those flyers as students arrive. You can scan students at any point during the visit or on their way out. But again, as I mentioned, those StriveScan barcodes are reusable, so they can use it for another college's visit, maybe later that day, that's also using StriveScan for visits, or if they're going to a college fair at John Carroll University that evening, they can use that exact same barcode as well. While we've talked a lot today about high school visits, know that we've also had partners utilize this exact same function for junior or senior night presentations, group visits to campus, open houses, or an art department or a music department's own individual program. So one of our institutions has a specific school of music, and they had some of their faculty members, as they were going out and leading ensembles, they would have their faculty members also scanning members that were interested in learning more about the school of music. So that was very a tangible opportunity for the ecosystem of scanning to be increased. We've had one of our partners truly just use it for any large groups visiting campus. Those large 20 to 30 kids, instead of spending time for them all filling out a card as they're on your campus for a group visit, you can just simply direct them to Strive Visit and then scan them all and get them into your CRM much quicker as well. So we're going to chat just a little bit about pricing and how this works. So we have several different pricing plans that you can utilize for visits, a starter plan, a basic plan, a plus, and a premium plan. All of these plans begin August 1st, 2021, and they run for an entire year through July 31st, 2022. For all of these plans, it's an unlimited number of visits, so you can go to as many high schools as you want. It's also an unlimited number of reps, so you can have as many people from your team scanning. Maybe it's just your people doing group visits, maybe it's all of your road runners, maybe it's your international folks too. You can have an unlimited number of reps. The difference in these prices is that it's a pay per scan pricing model here. So what that means is if you expect to see about 1,000 students between the fall and the spring at your high school visits, open houses, and that, you can subscribe to the starter plan. If you expect to see about 2,500 scans or students, that would be the basic plan. The plus plan is 10,000 scans or students, and the premium is 20,000. So we ask that you kind of go back to your office and think about how many students you actually interact with at high school visits nationwide. And then you can, from there, better inform what plan you'd like to utilize. I mentioned nationwide, and this is important because you don't need to be scanning in a space that StriveScan fairs exist. That's okay, because anyone can go into the high school visit in Alabama and have students get out their phone and scan, even though there may not be StriveScan college fairs in Alabama just yet. So there, that nationwide component is really great and a neat component to the visits portion. You will always have access as an entire institution's team to check on how many scans you've done. So when you log into your StriveScan website, so this is different than the app. This is what the website looks like. If you have visits activated, you can click on your visits plan and see how many scans your team has done, and also see your billing cycle, which would run through July 31st, 2022. So at any time, if you're kind of overseeing this process, you can track how many scans you and your team have done. I do want to differentiate the difference between fairs and visits, just for a brief moment. For StriveScan college fairs, you buy a credit and you're paying per fair. So one credit allows you to scan unlimited numbers of students at that one fair. For visits, it's a little bit different because you are paying per student scanned, and there are those tiered subscriptions based on how many you plan to scan. No matter what, in either instance, you get an unlimited number of scanning reps. So if you have 2 people from Miami University of Ohio sitting at a college fair, both of those can scan for that one credit. And if you have all of your Miami team scanning for visits, that's all that same price as well. And with that, that is what we have to present on StriveScan for visits, but we are welcome to answer any questions that you may have. Feel free to type them in through the Q&A and ask them. Our contact information is listed here. I'm Zachary at strivescan.com. Jen can be reached at jen@strivescan.com, but we open it up for any questions that you may have.
Zach, can you go into more detail again as to how most schools will create their visits?
Yeah, great question. So creating the visit, most folks do it just from the app as they're sitting in the parking lot. You know, you arrive to your high school visit a few minutes early, as you're kind of advised to do. You can simply go open your StriveScan app as you're sitting in the parking lot, move over to the visits tab. It is location based at that point, so you can truly, as you click what high school you're visiting, it would know you're at Maine South High School based off of that. You could, so this is doing it on the fly. This is done in a matter of 3 or 4 clicks to create that specific visit. You can also set up your visits in advance. As you're planning travel, as you're getting your calendar all organized, you can also set up your visits on the StriveScan website. So maybe you have a student worker take charge of this for you who knows your calendar and where you're visiting. So they can simply log into the StriveScan website. They can go to create new visit, and they can create them from the website as well. Those will then show up in your app as you're kind of able to do visits. So you can do it either way, but most folks have found that doing it on the fly right there in the parking lot before they enter the school is the best and easiest way to do it, just because it only takes 4 clicks to set up that visit.
Perfect.
Other questions?
Another question is, if we do sign up, will there be a training opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So our team, in addition to the materials that we provide for you, our team will also do some onboarding with you and your staff. So giving you and your staff some best practices for getting students registered at the beginning of your high school visit, talking through when to toggle that, send follow-up email in the visit. So we would work with you and your team on that, and we would set up just a private Zoom webinar with you and your staff members just to onboard everyone, and also to work through that GWID SFTP thing as well for your institution, so that you're all up to speed with how that data can go from a student and their barcode directly into a scan into your CRM very quickly. It's a great question. I am not seeing any other questions here in the chat. So with that, I will toss back up our contact information. Zachary@strivescan.com, Jen@strivescan.com. And I can also mention strivescan.com/visits is the website that you can visit to learn a little bit more, see all of this information in on a website and pass along to your colleagues. And again, we will pass along these slides to you afterwards today as well. I'll hand it back over to you, Courtney.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to share all of this amazing information about StriveScan visits with our members. Just as a reminder, folks, if you have any new colleagues that have joined you this year, Summer Institute registration is open. I hope to see all of your lovely faces in person or virtually at our articulation programs in September. So with that, stay safe and be well. Thanks.